friends. I'm Deanna, and you're listening to the Well and Worthy Life podcast. I'm a certified health coach, and my goal is to help you become the best version of yourself. I've done a lot of things in my life before I found my way here. I've been a saleswoman, a fitness instructor, a business owner, and a mother to 3 boys, and now a grandmother to a beautiful baby girl. Now I'm just trying to live my best life, and I want to share my experience and strategies to help you do the same. That means talking about your physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and everything in between. Let's find the way to your best life together. Thanks so much for joining me. Today, I have a friend of mine who is going to be a guest on the episode, and I'm so excited that she's here. Her name is Alison Lewis, and you'll hear from the podcast. We met playing tennis years ago, and we've always kept in touch. We have a lot in common. We love healthy living, and you're going to hear a little bit about Alison's background, where she's been, where she's going, what's happening in her life, and her thoughts on healthy living, along with we're just girlfriends talking. So listen in. I hope you enjoy this episode. It was so much fun talking with Alison, and I hope to have her back soon. So I hope you enjoy it. We go way back. It's been a long time because I hadn't played tennis in a long time. And I'd like to say maybe we ran together once, but I'm sure it was only one time because you're quite the runner and I am not. I used to run, but even back in the day when I ran, I don't think I could catch up with you. So anyway, welcome to the podcast today. And thanks so much for joining me.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I feel honored to be on this.
This is so fun. So we met through tennis and then running, and we've just always shared a lot of the same things that we like to do. Yeah. Healthy.
A lot.
Yeah, healthiness. Healthy.
Yeah, a lot of similar passions.
Right, yeah. So tell us a little bit about you. I know there's just been so many things. So just start at the beginning and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. I grew up in Birmingham. So I've been here for a long time. My first job, I would say, really was the best job ever. I was working at Oxmoor House, which then I got promoted, which was the same company then, to Southern Living Magazine as one of the food editors. And that was the absolute dream job for a long time until I have 3 kids and they're all 22 months apart. So when I was pregnant with my third, I just decided that I was going to try to do my own thing and start my own business and do a lot of food writing and recipe work, which was what I was doing for the magazine. But I was kind of getting burnt out on Southern food after a long period of time anyway. And I kind of, always loved living a healthy lifestyle. So I wanted to kind of branch out and try to do some work for Cooking Light and Clean Eating Magazine and a lot of these magazines that were on the lighter side. So I did that it actually worked out immediately that I started getting some amazing jobs and working with brands, doing recipes and content work. And then a few years later, I kind of transitioned into travel and I loved wellness travel. So I started writing for a lot of national magazines, USA Today and Travel and Leisure. I loved the whole angle of wellness travel. And so I had an idea for a magazine and approached a publisher that had some other great luxury magazines. So I told them I had an idea for the magazine Healthy Travel. Actually, had the magazine idea for years and never had told a soul. So when I told this publisher, they were like, I love the idea. And could you put together a PowerPoint on how this could be successful? So this was in 2012, a very long time ago when really wellness travel was not a thing. And now it is one of the top trends. The magazine ran in print for several years, and then that publishing company got bought out by another company, and so they couldn't publish it anymore. So it is still running as a blog. It has not been in print since 2015. So it's just been a kind of a mix of like doing recipe work, travel. I still love wellness travel. I started doing a lot of freelance, for brands and stuff. So I landed a great position with the resort at Paws Up, which is a ranch in Montana that's family owned. It's 37,000 acres, so it's twice the size of Manhattan. and the maximum guest capacity is only 250 people. So if you think of 250 people in twice Manhattan, that's what it's like if you go there. They have 100 miles of trails on property, 70 activities on property. So I started doing a lot of work for them, a lot of writing and content writing. They do all of their marketing in-house on their website stuff. They do magazines. So been doing that for a couple of years, which has really been fun. And now I'm kind of circling back since the start of all this going on in the world a couple months ago, and really started kind of working on my blog more. Again, I had taken 2 years off from my recipe blog, which is a terrible idea.
What's the name of your recipe blog?
Well, it's my company name, Ingredients Inc., which I started in 2018. And it was really kind of interesting because at the time, the reason the blog came out was I was doing recipes for Wisconsin Milk and Marketing Board, Wisconsin Cheese. And I was doing recipes for them, which were in national magazines, like in the front of Better Homes and Gardens. You'd open it up and it'd be like my recipe, of course, not my name. So they asked me, they said, would you ever want to start a blog and you could showcase all of the recipes you've done for us? We have photography. So that's kind of how the whole thing started, which was a crazy way back then. 2008 blogs were coming on, but not obviously to the point of where they are now. So I just kind of put Ingredients Inc. That's my company name. When I left Southern Living, I created a corporation. So I just kind of have always kept it that, which, is not the way blogs are today anymore, but just kind of kept it as is. So yeah, I've done just a myriad of things, but I was telling my daughter, she's 21, and we went running really early this morning at 6 a.m. And we were talking about just kind of everything. And she's asking me about, because she's going to be a senior in college next year. And she said, you've done some cool things. And I was like, the thing is, I've always done things that I loved. And I mean, I still am. It's been hard. To have your own business was hard. To wait on freelance checks is very hard. So yeah, it's been a hard road, but I have always kind of followed my passion. So I feel actually very grateful for all these opportunities that I've had. And the cookbooks, which we can talk about as well. I have 3 published cookbooks. And in fact, this is crazy. You're the first one to tell you, and nothing's happened yet. But my publisher of my 3 other books, he had reached out to me about some new ideas. And I sent 3 cookbook ideas today, which I said I was never going to do another book. I don't know if he'll bite on them or not, but I kind of, when the quarantine thing happened, I thought of an amazing idea for a book, and I didn't say anything to him because I was worried if he said yes, I was going to be so busy. Today, I actually did send him that idea with 2 others. So I don't know if it'll come to fruition, but I thought it might be time to just do something like that again, especially if it's something I'm really passionate about. So we'll see.
Right. And I do think that's really important, to do something that you're passionate about. Yeah. I feel like, Alison, that you've always been kind of ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is so my first book is 400 sandwiches. And the way that book came about, first of all, I barely eat bread now. So I do eat sandwiches, but not a lot. Back then, my kids were really young. And so, I kind of just started looking, and I was like, there is no cookbook that is like a big book of sandwiches. And so I had an agent who, she actually taught me how to media train on how to cook on television. She lives in Boston, and I flew up there when I first got asked to cook on television. I needed to learn how, from the best. And she also was a cookbook agent. And so after I trained with her, she kind of had put me in touch. She always said, send ideas. And so I actually sent her the idea. I said, what about a big book on sandwiches? And they took it immediately. And so then from there, because I had grilled cheese recipes way before the grilled cheese trend even happened, I had the grilled cheese book. And then smoothie bowls was way before the trend of smoothie bowls. And now, there's smoothie bowl trucks and, the place. So, and my son, I think about 5 years ago, whenever the book came out, a couple of years ago, he said, why don't you do a food truck? And I was like, that's just not what I want to do, But he suggested, he's like, if you put one of those at Auburn and Alabama, it probably would be really successful. And I remember him Googling, and he's my youngest, how much a food truck costs,
Oh my God.
It would have been an amazing idea, but it was before City Bowls and all the places we have here now. But yeah, and same with healthy travel. A lot of people say you're always ahead of the trend, but I don't know if that's a good thing because, I feel like maybe I hit momentum at different parts, but, so I don't know if it was good or bad.
Well, let's back up a minute. What got you into food to begin with?
Before Southern Living?
Yeah. So you said you took culinary classes in New York.
I did.
You were already into cooking and stuff?
You know what? I grew up with a mother who didn't cook. I have to tell you, we had a lot of help. I was the fourth child. There was 10 years between my oldest sister, and then I was the end of the fourth. And I didn't grow up with a mother that cooked, but I think I started running at 16, just was really into health and fitness. I was always interested in nutrition. And when I went to school, I decided to major in advertising and marketing, but I really had this interest in nutrition. But when I saw the list of classes with the chemistries, I was like, there's nothing. So when I graduated and I came out and worked for a couple of years just in advertising and marketing, I was like, I think I want to go back to school and get my master's in nutrition. And so what happened was I went back to school and had to take all the sciences that you had to have to apply for the graduate program. So I had to take all the chemistries, biologies, and all that. And so I did that. And then I applied, when I was applying for graduate school, you had to do an internship. And so I did an internship at St. Vincent's, dietary department, and I absolutely hated working in a hospital. I was like, this is not for me. It's freezing. The food's bad. I just didn't like it. At that time, my dad had cancer. It was just a lot of bad things. So the hospital was just not the place for me. And so I was like, oh my God, now I have marketing. And I ended up getting the degree in nutrition. So I had marketing, advertising, and nutrition. And my older sister said, why don't you send your resume to Southern Progress? So I sent my resume and they literally called me and was like, could you come in the next day? And that's kind of how, so that time they said, we will pay for you to do culinary classes if you want some more experience. So that's how I ended up getting to go to New York, going to Napa Valley, out to Greystone Culinary Institute out there. And this was just kind of like a perfect timing because I didn't have that kind of culinary arts experience, which they didn't require at Southern Progress unless you really work in the test kitchen, which I didn't. But I just loved creating recipes. So that was kind of, I wanted to do more than writing. They were just all on board with it.
Oh my gosh, how neat. How neat. So you said you don't eat sandwiches. I don't either. I'll eat bread if I know it's going to be fabulous, but I really try to stay away from it. So why is it the gluten or?
Yeah, I just try to limit my gluten. I mean, I will eat a bagel or, we found some bagels that are high in protein and some bread that I found lately. And I like local breads that are really good. If we go to dinner at a Bottega or one of the, obviously I'm going to eat bread, but I just try, I guess too, because my kids are older, 2 are in college and 1 has just got out of college. So I'm not making sandwiches, it's just not a thing anymore. But yeah, at the time I did the book, which was in 2011, my kids were a lot younger. I was making sandwiches all the time,
Yeah, so, no, I remember that too. Plus we did we even know about gluten that much? I mean, it didn't. Yeah. Well, so what breads do you like? What breads have you found here that you like? Everybody wants to know.
God, now I can't remember the name because I knew you were going to ask me when I said the bagel brand and the bread brand. I mean, they have it in all the groceries. The bagels have a lot of protein and the bread does too. So we've been kind of buying those because my daughter's still here for the summer. So I don't think that I have huge problems with gluten, but I have to say when I do eat a lot of pasta or gluten, I start to feel, I don't know, I just don't feel as good. I
kind of just feel bloated. And so when somebody starts with faster way to fat loss, we tell them the first, especially the first 2 weeks, we like them to go the first 6 weeks dairy and gluten free because most people have some sort of sensitivity to gluten and dairy, but they never know until they eliminate it. Once they eliminate it, then they can see if by adding it back in how they feel. Yeah. And I have noticed, I just feel better when I don't consume a lot of it. Yeah.
That's exactly the same. And same with dairy. I do drink milk in my coffee, but if I have milk or ice cream, my stomach, do have a problem and some cheese, but not yogurt, things like that. So I think these problems have arisen too as I've gotten older. So
talking about that, I've gone alcohol free right now.
Yep.
And I've noticed as I've gotten older that the alcohol really Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't make me feel good at all. And anyway, are you alcohol free or do you drink some?
No, I mean, I have to say, at the start of the quarantine, I was having it was like becoming an everyday thing, which I was like, this is not me at all. But I definitely am, it's now just back to like the weekends and occasionally a glass of wine. Like if I'm cooking, like tonight, I'm doing a pasta recipe that white wine is in it, with shrimp. And so I'll probably have a glass, something like that is fine. But yeah, I definitely feel better, the same way, just not having it all like at that often. But I have one where I remember times where I've gone to take a break from it and you can tell a huge difference.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. I mean, I just feel so much better, but I started having headaches with the wine and stuff like that. And it really was interrupting my sleep even more. And it just wasn't good for me. So for right now, I'm just going to be alcohol free. We'll see how long it lasts. I mean, I don't think I've had a major problem with it, but I don't I don't know. I think I just feel better staying away from it. So when you had your blog, because, I started Well and Worthy Life first as a blog before I started coaching or doing anything. And I remember, so a friend of mine who has a fashion blog, I was like, so I'm thinking about doing this blog on health and wellness. And, I remember her saying, it's hard work. It's not easy. So I was like, oh, yeah, it'd be fun, though.
Yeah.
And then she said, I remember her telling me, she said, people go, oh, how's your little blog doing? And your little blog that you're working so hard at and everything else. That takes a long time before you make money doing it. But you started yours in 2008.
Yep. It's funny. In fact, a recipe, I think it's on my site today, is like 9 years. It's like a brownie recipe. And I think it's like 9 or 11 years old. And I mean, but it's still one I make, it's like, and I'm talking in my blog now about this recipe has been in my archives for 10 years, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, it's definitely a full-time job. By far, it is so much work. There's so much to learn. To do one post is extremely time consuming. I mean, you have to be a writer, an editor, a photographer, have a sense of design. I mean, you basically have to have so many skills, a business person to manage, different campaigns that you might be asked to do. So yeah, you have to be the accountant, you have to be everything. So
exactly.
People just say, are you a blogger? You're like, really? That's like, it's way more
than that. Yeah, exactly. Doing food. I mean, I tell everybody, I'm like, if you want recipes, do not come to my blog. I will not have recipes.
You have some.
I have a few things. I have a few things that are very simple, but I'm not a cook. I don't enjoy cooking. I enjoy very simple, fun, easy things. And so I don't want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. If I were making brownies, I would be eating all the brownies. So that's another reason I probably don't like to cook so much. But when you first started your blog, I know you had something go viral. What went viral first?
I know exactly what it was, because that's kind of what started everything for me. And it was in December, and I think it's a 2 or 3 ingredient bark recipe. I think it's some type of chocolate, dark chocolate. I should know off the top of my head. Pistachios and dried cherries. I mean, this sounds crazy, but it's super easy. And it was on my blog, and I don't know, but all of a sudden, like, I saw I had 20,000 views in one day. 20,000. And I was like, wait, what is going on? But then it was like Yahoo and some other sites picked it up. So that's kind of what happened. Yeah. And this was not when people were really featuring each other and there was a blog, all these like connections of groups of people, which I know a lot of bloggers have different little groups and help you support each other. So this was just kind of like nationally picked it up. I don't know how they saw it or where, but that's kind of when everything started. I got TV stations emailing me and were like, could you come on television? And kind of from that is when I was like, well, I'm not going to do that without knowing how. And then meeting the agent, it kind of spiraled the book. And so the books, that one little 3 ingredient recipe, which I probably should bring back and reshoot now that we're talking about it. I mean, I was kind of like, this is so stupid, simple, stupid recipe. But sometimes those type of things are the things.
Well, that's what I would want. I would want the fewer ingredients, the better.
Yep.
I want it to be easy and quick, but make it like super good. And like you could take, to somebody and they would go, oh, you did this? And be like, yes, I did this.
Yeah. But yeah, it's amazing that happened. I mean, I remember looking at my traffic and I was like, this cannot be right, because I was like, it just was like,
that's crazy.
Oh God, is this going to happen tomorrow?
No, that is crazy. Well, I remember when you gave me in fact, I'm sitting here with the smoothie bowl recipes. I remember you gave this to me when it first came out. And I remember thinking smoothie bowls. Okay. So first of all, why did you call it smoothie bowls? Because when I think of a smoothie, I think of it in a cup.
So I was in Sausalito in California on a work trip, something I was doing for a magazine. And on that trip, I can't remember where else we went. I was in San Francisco and I was somewhere else, but I had seen smoothie bowls 3 times on that trip. And I was like, what is that? So I ordered it. So basically, it's a thicker smoothie that is served in a bowl, but the toppings, they could put chia seeds or flax seeds and, nuts. So you kind of got all these cool, healthy toppings. They were also beautiful. So when I saw that kind of going on in California is when I started researching, is there a book on this or were there recipes? And there was nothing. So that's when I reached out to my publisher who looks for the hole in the book cookbook.
Right.
And he was like, can you have this done in 6 months, or whatever. It was some crazy.
Oh, wow.
All my books were in a crazy time frame because he wanted to be the first one out there with it. But basically, the whole hook of the smoothie bowl is basically making a smoothie, but you try to make it a little bit thicker so that it's more served like in a bowl with toppings. So it you feel like you're eating maybe more than just drinking something.
Yeah, because I will say that's the one thing I've not been a huge smoothie person because I like to eat my food rather than drink my food.
This is kind of an answer to that, especially because of the toppings. And it's just a kind of great way to get like I said, these seeds that you might want to add to your diet or some maybe nuts, things like that. But also it's a huge trend on Instagram, like smoothie bowls, because they're very artistic. Very. We're doing it in other countries.
Right, right. Right now, I think I told you before we came on, in Fast Way to Fat Loss in the VIP program, we're doing a 5-day smoothie reset. And I was like, oh, darn, because we have to drink my food. Now I can make it a little bit thicker and put some more things on it. So anyway, and I really like it. I'd like it right now, especially because we're at home and it's easy. I'm not getting out a whole lot still.
And it's hot outside.
But it is hot outside. Yeah, exactly. So it's refreshing.
Yep.
Has a lot. It is packed. Smoothies are packed with a lot of nutrients.
They really are. People who are into collagen, which collagen powder was not a thing when I did my book, and now it's a big thing. So you can stick that in there. And, if you're into protein powder, any of these kind of powders that are popular. So yeah, there's a lot. That's the thing. You can have flax seeds and things like that, but even get them into kids, without them knowing it's even in there. So
exactly. Protein powders. I always get that question, and I don't use a ton of protein powder. I use Vital Proteins, which has the collagen and everything. Is there a special protein powder you like?
Everyone has their different opinions about the vegan, the pea protein, the whey protein. I don't do a ton of protein powder. If I do it, I usually just do the whey protein and I don't know, I've heard a lot of different nutritionists and trainers kind of talk about this, but I'm not vegan, so I don't feel like I have to go with the vegan whey. And if I'm going to use protein powder, why not just have the whey for me? As far as flavor and taste, there's only one protein powder that I like, and it's the one that you can only buy at Lifetime or buy it on their website. But it's the Lifetime Fitness vanilla. Their chocolate's good too, but all their protein powders actually are amazing in taste. My husband will buy them from other places, and I just think they have a terrible aftertaste. That's the only one I found that I like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the strangest thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's funny because I don't use a ton of, the only thing I use the Vital Proteins is what
right.
I use.
Yep.
Because I don't really want a flavor in there or anything.
Right. I've used that too. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times I leave the powder out. Now that my daughter's been home, she's been asking for protein powder because she likes it as a meal, kind of like what you're
Right.
doing right now, like as her lunch. So obviously you're going to pack it with some protein.
Right.
Just
Right.
no sugar, a fruit,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Or vegetables. We do a lot of kale and stuff in them.
Yeah, so that's one of our smoothies has kale, and it's funny when you put in all these different ingredients and you think, I do think, for children, this could be smoothie bowl could be something really good to get a lot of good stuff, and they would not even know.
Reason. Yeah, that I wanted to make them and do the book. But and when I was testing the recipes, my kids, we had so many different things every day, and they loved it. It's like how many fruits and vegetables I was buying. And it was just interesting to kind of experiment with all those ingredients that are real and fresh and, plant oriented. So,
Right. And it goes back to that we need to eat real foods and not all these bars and all this processed stuff, that looks healthy. We need real foods.
absolutely. And to get greens into these kids, I think is huge. So that's kind of like, a sneak way for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. Some days I do. I'm like, I didn't eat anything green all day, until dinner, which is
Well, it's true because if you think about it, what do you eat for lunch usually? A lot of times, though, I will put like chicken salad on a bed of, I love that. I can never say it, where you get all the Brussels sprouts and kale and stuff all crunched together. I like that. Okay, so let's move on to healthy travel. Oh my God. I remember when you started the Healthy Travel magazine, and I'm like, you would tell me about all the places you would go, and I want to go to them all. And I remember I followed you with the resort that Paul's up. I'm like, oh, I got to go there sometime. There's so many places.
I didn't even know there was such a thing of being able to travel in a manner as a journalist, like when I was so into food and doing all the food writing. And yeah, when I just kind of landed like my first story and got to go on a trip. And it was kind of like when you had a bunch of outlets like that, you were just constantly, I had to turn away trips. I remember turning away a trip to London. I've never been to London in my life. And it was first class and, and I already had told my kids I was taking them to the beach and I felt I didn't want to renege on that. And, now they look back and they were like, you should have gone to London. But yeah, I went to Italy several times. And I went to some of the best resorts who I still think are great resorts for luxury, but also spa. I always got to check out the spa, which I love. So yeah, I loved everything about doing all of that. And I hope, I'll get to do it sometime in the future. I don't know. It's like people all don't know.
So I know if you had to pick one resort, it would be the resort at Paul's Up. But okay, so that one aside, what would be your next place that you would want to go back to?
Probably one of my favorite places was in Lake Como in Italy, which actually is not a bad flight. You fly to Milan and it's not that far. I want to say it's like 40 minutes. I can't remember. May have been more, but it didn't seem like it. I stayed at an amazing resort there that had an amazing spa, and it was just beautiful. And Lake Como is probably one of the most magical.
Okay, so do you remember the name of it? Because I want to go there.
I think it's called the Grand Tremezzo. It's like Tremezzo, Tremezzo, and it's family owned, and they were wonderful people. So that was like a fabulous place. The other place, though, that's in the U.S. that I love is right out in San Diego. It's like more towards the Rancho area. The resort is called Rancho Valencia. And they have an amazing spa. They have amazing tennis. The grounds are beautiful. The place is beautiful. If you ever get to that, over in California, that's like an amazing place to go as well. There's just so many good places. I went to Miraval several times. They had a magazine that I helped them kind of launch when they launched that. So I got to go a couple times, which was amazing. I haven't been to the new one in Austin. There's a new Miraval in Austin.
I know. I want to go there. I've been to the one Tucson a few times, but I want to go to the one in Austin. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. And then, I mean, I don't know. I've been to almost every Caribbean island. I did a lot in the Caribbean because it was easy to get there. I love Cabo. I mean, there's
so many places. And now we can't really even travel right now. We can dream of it. Oh my God.
I literally have not been anywhere since the end of February. I had a work trip in Scottsdale, which I love Scottsdale too. But yeah, I haven't been anywhere, and it's strange.
It is strange. It is so strange, isn't it? We were going like nonstop until, I guess it was really, I think the last trip that Jeff and I took was to New York at the end of February. And I remember, it's so funny. I don't watch the news a lot. And I remember my aunt saying to me, "Oh, you don't need to be going to New York." I was like, I didn't know what she was talking about. Yeah. And she's like, "Well, you should wear a mask." I'm like, I mean, honestly, I should watch the news a little bit more because I didn't know. It didn't feel any different at that point, to be honest with you.
No.
And then after we got back, then everything started shutting down and we were like, oh, wow. No. But, and I keep thinking, when am I going to feel comfortable to travel? I don't know. I know you've told me at the resort at Paul's Up, it's so, people still can come there because you said it's so big and not a ton of people. So you can definitely social distance there.
They've been amazing. The fact that the government let the resort stay open all through this, and the rebound of, the guests it's almost sold out for the entire summer right now. I mean, everyone wants to go to a place that's a nature retreat, that you can not have to be around people. I mean, the place is so huge that you might be there on July 4th, the busiest time, and you're in a restaurant and you're like, where are all the people? But there's 7 restaurants on property, and there's endless things to do. And so it never feels crowded. So people feel very safe there. And most of the accommodations, like the homes, are on 4 acres each. You get your own Lexus SUV when you get there if you're staying in a home accommodation. We have the glamping tent. So the Montana Air and all. So it's been interesting to see all of that. But it's definitely been on a hot list. Like, so many travel agents are promoting it and things like that, because I think that's what people are going to feel more comfortable being in a place that, you don't have to lobby, there's no elevators, nothing like that, So
wow. The only problem is to get there from Alabama.
Well, usually there's a direct flight to Denver or Dallas, and then you fly to Missoula. That Denver flight right now is not going. The Dallas one is still going. So, but yeah, it's a little bit trickier than normal because of, some of the flights have been cut right now.
Right. Hopefully in a few months or so, everything's going to get better. I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah.
I don't know. Down at the beach, I was just down there last week, and you'd think Corona never happened.
That's what everybody says. Everybody.
It is not good. I'm like, people.
I is wanting to go, but I don't want to go when it's that crowded. I usually don't go a lot in the summer anyway, just because of that. But I've been wanting to go get to the beach so badly, but I keep hearing that what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, luckily where our house is down at the beach, we don't have a lot of people. It's just a community of several houses, but our beach is very big and we can spread out. And then I carry all my groceries down there so I don't have to go to the grocery store because the grocery stores are packed. So anyway.
I do think people, when they do feel comfortable traveling again, they are going to look at, the whole healthy travel is kind of what people are going to be looking for, and wellness. I think when people can travel and feel safe, like I think wellness events at resorts will be on, very at a high demand and things like that.
I agree. I was just thinking, my husband had some heart issues. Gosh, it's been a month ago now. So I'm having to be his driver for a few more months because he's not supposed to be driving.
Right.
And he's fine, physically now, but they just want to make sure that he's got a defibrillator pacemaker in and make sure it doesn't go off while he's driving. So he has to have a track record of it not going off. So I have to drive him. But So I'm thinking when that's over, I'm planning a trip somewhere.
You should. You
I'd
should.
like to go to like a spa by myself. I've never traveled by myself. Have you traveled by
I
yourself?
have a lot. I mean, you will probably enjoy it because you will need it, And I do enjoy it at times, but I've been doing it so much in the past, few years, several years, and especially going to a place like Lake Como, but you're not with.
Oh, yeah, that would not be fun by myself.
You're in these amazing places and sometimes alone, and it is, you're kind of like, oh, but
Yeah.
you kind of have to well, I get to experience this at least. But yes, it can be good, but it also can get very lonely to me. I feel like the older I got, the harder it was. When I was, even younger, it was just all so exciting, Now you're like, I miss people when I go by myself,
Yeah, I can see that. I do enjoy traveling with my husband a lot. I don't know. I just think I've always wanted to do something like that by myself. So that might be something.
Yeah.
And do it like on a healthy traveling thing.
Yeah.
I've even looked at, and I need to talk to you further about this, because these women adventure things, I think that would be kind of cool.
Even I was looking before all this happened, I think it was in February at that Lake Austin, Miraval was doing a yoga weekend retreat. I was thinking, I would love to do something like that, so any of those type of things where you're kind of or there are other women there, but you have your own room, you can do as much as you want with a group. I think that would be really, fun to do. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of this girl getaway trend after we're kind of out of this, because so many moms have been stuck with their kids and, it's just homeschooling their kids. And, so I think when everyone feels comfortable enough getting out, that this will be a thing that we'll see probably more than ever, of this kind of girl getaway or even solo getaway.
You're right. Especially these moms. Thank goodness my kids are all grown.
Oh, I know.
Well, thank you so much, Alison, for joining me on this podcast. I really appreciate it. And we're going to link all of your stuff in here so that if anybody wants to get your books, and I just can't wait to hear about what this new book idea is. Oh my gosh, how much fun. The pictures too on the smoothie cookbook are so cool. Do you take all these pictures?
No, that's all done in-house. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Those are really pretty pictures
that's
too.
Good thing I don't have to do. And you have an editor to read behind everything. So that's really nice.
That's good. But you're going to really you're going back to your blog. You're going to start adding new recipes.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. We can expect healthy recipes from you, right?
Yeah. Today is this quick dark chocolate brownie, but they have almonds in there. So they're a little bit different. They're easy. So sometimes you might find an Oreo ice cream on there or something for Father's Day, that maybe, or an alcoholic drink like a margarita. So it's not strictly healthy all the time, but yeah, the predominantly is kind of supposed to be family friendly and health with a healthy slant. So
yeah. And I like that because I think everything in moderation. Who wants to just be so tight? I think balance is good.
Oh, I do too. So.
Well, thank you again, y'all. Thanks for joining us for another version of Well and Worthy Life. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you would, go ahead and review the podcast. And if you get the smoothie bowl or any of the cookbooks, be sure and take a picture and tag me and Alison on Instagram. Oh, where can they find you, Alison?
So the blog is ingredientsinc.net, but it's just Alison Lewis on Instagram with one L, Alison and Lewis. So, and also I didn't post on Instagram for 2 years. So that also has been very interesting.
Yeah. So y'all go follow her and make sure you like a lot of her pictures so that then she'll show up in your feed, because that's what you have to do to get somebody to show up in your feed.
And it used to be so popular because I was always going to travel in amazing places. And before that I was cooking. And then it just went kind of stagnant for 2 years of being too busy to even get to that. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Oh,
I had to come back into something. It's kind of like you realize if you have momentum on something, you probably shouldn't just go cold turkey to stop.
No, consistency on anything. I talk to my clients about that. Consistency is the key.
Yeah, I think I just hit a burnout. A lot of people have asked, like, why did you stop completely just like that? It was like, I just got I don't know. It was just years of doing that, which was like, how much work it is. And I just completely hit a burnout. Like, I was like, I think I told you when you started your blog, I was like, I just can't even do that, right now.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, there are days that I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? I don't write blog posts that much anymore. I do the podcast and I, do on Instagram, but I coach. That's mostly what I do now. And that's what I love to do.
Well, that's fabulous. I need to learn more about all of the stuff you're doing. I mean, I've read a little bit about all of it, but I don't know how the whole program works. And I have seen the research and it looks, it definitely makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. Well, so what I do, just so you'll know, it is with Faster Way to Fat Loss. It's a group coaching program. Right. And then I do one-on-one coaching also. But the reason I chose to become a coach for Faster Way to Fat Loss is when I did my health coaching certification, it took me a year. I went back to school for a year to get that certification. And out of everything I looked at, Faster Way to Fat Loss lined up perfectly with what I was taught and what I knew too. I mean, it is eating real food. I mean, it's not here, buy this shake and do this, these supplements and all this kind of stuff. It's eating real food and it's science backed and it, has workouts. I mean, it has everything. And so that's why I'm so passionate about that. So anyway, that's a little bit.
I heard a little bit about that they send you workouts because a friend of mine, I think, did it at one point a while back. And she was telling me about the workouts, which sounded really interesting.
We have an app.
Okay.
And it has daily workouts, new workouts every day. They're 30 minutes or less, which I'm loving that. And then we have a meal guide that's used as a guide. And so then we coach somebody through it and help them because you and I both know that having support and accountability is the key to success in reaching your goals. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Well and Worthy Life. Guys, I love bringing you podcasts, so let me know what you want to hear about, and I'll try to keep them coming. Have an awesome day.